miracle. In the year 1904 to 1905, Nana Sahib Chandorkar was Mamlatdar at Jamner in the Khandesh district, which is more than 100 miles from Shirdi. His daughter, Mainatai, was pregnant and was due to deliver. Her case was very serious and she was suffering from labor pains for last 2 or 3 days. Nana Sahib tried all remedies but in vain. He then remembered Baba and invoked his aid. There in Shirdi, one Ramgir Bua, whom Baba called Bapugir Bua, was leaving for his native place in Khandesh. Baba called him and told him to stop at Jamner on his way and give the Udi and Aarti to Nana Sahib. Ramgir Bua said that he had only 2 rupees with him, and this amount was barely sufficient for the railway fare up to Jalgaon, and it was not possible for him to go from Jalgaon to Jamner, a distance of about 30 miles. Baba assured him that he need not care, as everything would be provided for. Then Baba asked Shama to write a well-known Aarti composed by Madhav Atkar. Aarti and translation of this is given at the end of this work, and gave a copy of it with Udi to Ramgir Bua, who to be delivered to Nana Sahib. And then, relying on Baba's words, Ramgir Bua left Shirdi and reached Jalgaon at about 2:45 a.m. He had only 2 annas left with him, and he was in a plight. To his great relief, he heard somebody calling out, "Who is Bapugir Bua of Shirdi?" He went to him and told him that he was Bapugir Bua. Then the person, professing to be sent by Nana Sahib, took him to an excellent tonga with a good pair of horses. They both drove in it. The tonga ran fast, and early in the morning they came to the brooklet. The man took the horses for watering them, and he asked Ramgir Bua to partake of some eatables. On seeing the beard, moustache, and the livery of that person, Ramgir Bua suspected him to be a Muslim and was unwilling to take any refreshments from him. But he satisfied Ramgir Bua by saying that he was Hindu, a Kshatriya of Garhwal, and that Nana Sahib had sent these refreshments and there should be no difficulty in its acceptance. Then both of them took the refreshments and started again. They reached Jamner at dawn. Ramgir Bua alighted to attend a call of nature and returned within a few minutes, but found that there was no tonga and no driver. He was dumbfounded. Then he went to the neighboring Kacheri and, on making inquiries, learned that Mamlatdar was at home. He went to Nana Sahib's house and gave to Nana Sahib Baba's Udi and Aarti. At this time, Mainatai's case was in the most serious condition, and all were in deep anxiety about her. Nana Sahib called out his wife and asked him to give the udi mixed with water to their daughter to drink. He thought that Baba's help was most opportune. In a few minutes came the news that the delivery was safe and that the crisis has passed away. When Ramgir Bua thanked Nana Sahib for the peon, tonga, and the refreshments, etc., the latter was greatly surprised, as he had sent none to the station and was not even aware of any person coming from Shirdi. Mr. B.V. Deb of Thana, retired Mamlatdar, made inquiries about this matter with Bapu Rao Chandorkar, son of Nana Sahib, and Ramgir Bua of Shirdi, and after satisfying himself, wrote an elaborate article, part prose and part poetry, in this Sri Sai Leela magazine, volume 13, numbers 11, 12, and 13. B.V. Narasimha Swami has also taken down the statements of Mainatai, number 5, page 14, and Babu Sahib Chandorkar, number 20, page 50, and Ramgir Bua, number 27, page 83. Dated 1st June 1936, 16 September 1936, and 1st December 1936, respectively, and published them in his Devotees' Experiences, Part 3. The following is quoted from Ramgir Bua's statement. One day, Baba called me to him and gave me a packet of udi and a copy of Baba's Aarti. I had to go to Khandesh at that time. Baba directed me to go to Jamner and told me to deliver the Aarti and udi to Nana Sahib Chandorkar at Jamner. I said to Baba that all I had was rupees 2 and asked him how that could take me by train from Kopargaon to Jalgaon and next from Jalgaon to Jamner. Baba said, God will give. That was a Friday, and I started at once. I reached Manmad at 7:30 p.m. and Jalgaon at 2:45 a.m. At that time, plague regulations were in force, and I had much trouble. I was to discover that I should do what I should do to get to Jamner. At about 3 a.m., a peon in boots, turban, and equipped with other details of good dress came to me and took me to a tonga and drove me on. On the way to Bagur, I took refreshments. He reached Jamner early in the morning, and by the time I attended Call of Nature, the tonga and its driver has disappeared. Page 83. Narayan Rao. Bhakta Narayan Rao, father's name and surname are not given, had the good fortune to see Baba twice during the latter's lifetime. 3 years after the passing away of Baba in 1918, he wanted to come to Shirdi but could not. Within a year of Baba's Mahasamadhi, he felt sick and suffered much. All possible remedies gave him no relief. So he meditated on Baba day and night. One night he had a vision. Baba came through a cellar, comforted him, saying, Don't be anxious. You will be improving from tomorrow, and within a week you will be on your legs. Narayan Rao got perfectly well within the time indicated in the vision. Now, the point for consideration is this: was Baba living because he had the body, or was he dead because he left it? No, Baba is ever alive, for he transcends both life and death. He who loved him wholeheartedly gets response from him at any time and at any place. He is always by our side and will take any form, appear before the devout Bhakta and satisfy him. Appa Sahib Kulkarni. In 1917, Appa Sahib Kulkarni was transferred to Thana and began to worship Baba's picture presented to him by Bala Sahib Bhate. In real earnest, in real earnest, he did the worship. He offered flowers, sandal paste, and naivedya daily to Baba in the picture and longed intently to see him. In this connection, it may be remarked that seeing Baba's picture earnestly is equivalent to seeing him in person. The following story illustrates this statement. Balabua Sutar. A saint of Mumbai named Balabua Sutar, who on account of his piety, devotion, and style was called Modern Tukaram, came to Shirdi for the first time in 1917. When he bowed before Baba, the latter said, I have known this man for 4 years. Balabua wondered and thought, how could that be, as this was his first trip to Shirdi? But thinking about it seriously, he recollected that he had prostrated himself 4 years ago before Baba's portrait at Mumbai and was convinced about the significance of Baba's words. He said to himself, how omniscient and all pervading are the saints, and how kind are they to their devotees. I merely bowed to his photo, but this fact was noticed by Baba, and in due time he made me realize that seeing his photo is equivalent to seeing him in person. And now we return to Appa Sahib's story. This, while he was in Thana, he had to go on tour to Bhiwandi and was expected to return after a week. In his absence, the following wonderful thing took place on the third day. At noon, a fakir turned up at Appa Sahib's house. His features resembled exactly those of Baba's photo. Mrs. Kulkarni and the children all asked him whether he was Sai Baba of Shirdi. He said no, but that he was an obedient servant of his and came there at his order to inquire after the well-being of the family. Then he asked for dakshina. The lady gave him a rupee. He gave her a small packet of udi and asked her to keep this in the shrine. Then he left the house and went away. Now, hear the wonderful Leela of Sai. Appa Sahib could not proceed with his tour as his horse fell sick at Bhiwandi. He returned home that afternoon and learned from his wife about Fakir's visit. He got very restless as he did not have the darshan of the Fakir. Moreover, he did not like that only 1 rupee was paid to him as dakshina. He said that if had he been present, he would have paid not less than 10 rupees. Then he immediately started in quest of the fakir and searched for him in the masjid and other places without taking any food. His search was in vain. He then returned home and took his food. The readers may remember here Baba's dictum in chapter 32 that God's quest should not be made on an empty belly. Then, after meals, he went out for a walk with a friend, Mr. Chitre. After going some distance, they saw a man approaching them rapidly. Appa Sahib thought that he must be the fakir that came to his house at noon, as his feature tallied with those of Baba in the photo. The fakir immediately put forth his hand and asked for dakshina. Appa Sahib gave him a rupee. He demanded again and again, and so Appa Sahib gave him 2 more. Still, he was not satisfied. Then he borrowed 3 rupees from Mr. Chitre and gave them to him. He wanted still more. Appa Sahib asked him to accompany him to his house. Then they all returned home and Appa Sahib gave him 3 rupees. In all, 9. He looked unsatisfied and demanded again. Then Appa Sahib told him that he had a currency note of just 10 rupees. The fakir asked for the same, took it, and returned the 9 rupees and went away. Appa Sahib had earlier said that he would pay 10 rupees and that sum was taken from him and 9 rupees consecrated by Baba's touch was returned to him. The figure 9 is significant. It denotes the 9 types of devotion, White chapter 21. It may also be noted here that Baba gave 9 coins to one Lakshmi Bai Shinde at his last moment. Appa Sahib examined the Udi packet and found that it contained some flower leaves and akshata. Then, some time afterwards, he got a hair from Baba when he saw him at Shirdi. He put the Udi packet and the hair in the tabiz and wore it always on his arm. Appa Sahib realized the power of the Udi. Though he was very efficient, he got 40 rupees as pay in the beginning, but after he secured Baba's photo and his Udi, he got many times more and also got much power and influence. And along with these temporal benefits, his spiritual progress was also rapid. So those who are fortunate enough to get Baba's Udi should after bath apply it on the forehead and take some of it mixed with water as holy tirth. Hari Bhav Karnik. In 1917, Hari Bhav Karnik of Dahanu, Thana district, came to Shirdi on the Guru Purnima day in the month of Ashada and worshipped Baba with all formalities. He offered clothes and dakshina and after taking Baba's leave, got down the steps of the masjid. Then he thought that he should offer 1 more rupee to Baba and was just turning to climb up again when Shama signaled him by gesture that as he had got Baba's leave, he should go and not return. So he started for home. On his way, when he went into the temple of Kalaram at Nasik for darshan, the Saint Narsingh Maharaj, who used to sit inside the temple, came to Hari Bhav, caught him by his wrist and said, "Give me my 1 rupee." Karnik was surprised. He paid the rupee most willingly and thought that Sai Baba recovered the rupee, which he intended in his mind to give through Saint Narsingh Maharaj. This story illustrates the fact that all saints are one and illustrates how they work in unison. Bow to Sri Sai, peace be to all. Chapter 34, Greatness of Udi. Doctor's nephew. In Malegaon district, Nasik, there lived a doctor, qualified and degree holder. His nephew suffered from an incurable disease, tubercular bone abscess. The doctor, along with his relatives and medical practitioners, tried all sorts of remedies and even surgery. There was no relief and no end to the little boy's suffering. Friends and relatives advised the parents of the boy to seek divine aid and recommended them to go to Sai Baba, who was known to have cured such incurable cases by his mere glance. The parents therefore came to Shirdi. They prostrated themselves before Baba, placed the boy before him, and pleaded humbly and implored him to save their son. The merciful Baba comforted them, saying, "Those who resort to the masjid shall never suffer anything in this life to the end of time. Now do not worry. Apply Udi on the abscess, and within a week he will recover. Believe in God. This is no masjid, but Dwarkamai. He who steps here will soon get health and happiness, and his sufferings will come to an end." The boy was made to sit before Baba, who moved his hand on the affected part and cast his loving glances on him. The patient was pleased, and with the application of the Udi, he began to recover and was all right after some days. The parents then left Shirdi with their son, thanking Baba for the cure, which was effected by Udi and Baba's gracious looks. After knowing this, the doctor, the uncle of the boy, became wonderstruck and decided to see Baba. While he was on his way to Mumbai for some business at Malegaon and Manmad, somebody spoke to him against Baba and poisoned his ears. Therefore, he dropped the idea of visiting Shirdi and went to Mumbai direct. He wanted to spend the rest of his leave at Alibag, but at Mumbai, he heard for 3 successive nights a voice, "Still you disbelieve me?" Then the doctor changed his mind and resolved to go to Shirdi. He had to attend to a case of infectious fever in Mumbai, which showed no signs of quick abatement. So he thought that his Shirdi trip would be postponed. He, however, proposed a test in his mind and said that if the patient gets all right by today, I'll start for Shirdi tomorrow. The wonder is that exactly from that time, when the determination was done, the fever began to abate and the temperature became normal. Then he went to Shirdi as per his determination, took Baba's darshan and prostrated himself before him. Baba gave him such experiences that he became his devotee. He stayed there for 4 days and returned home with Baba's Udi and blessings. Within a fortnight, he was transferred on promotion to Bijapur. His nephew's case gave him an opportunity for seeing Baba, and this visit garnered in him a never-failing love for the saint's feet. Dr. Pillai. One Dr. Pillai was an intimate devotee of Baba. He was much liked by Baba, who always called him Bhau, brother. Baba talked to him off and on and consulted him in all matters and wanted him always at his side. This Pillai suffered once very badly from guinea worms. He said to Kaka Sahib Dikshit, "The pain is most excruciating and unbearable. I prefer death to it. This pain I know is for repaying past karma, but go to Baba and tell him to cease the pain and transfer the balance of my past karma to 10 future births of mine." Mr. Dikshit went to Baba and told him his request. Then Baba, being moved by his request, said to Dikshit, "Tell him to be fearless. Why should he suffer for 10 births? In 10 days, he can work out the sufferings and consequences of his past karma. While I am here to give him temporal or spiritual welfare, why should he pray for death? Bring him here on somebody's back and let us work and finish his sufferings once for all." The doctor was brought in that condition and was seated on Baba's right side. Baba gave him his bolster and said, "Lie down calmly here and be at ease. The true remedy is that the result of past actions has to be suffered and got over. Our karma is the cause of our happiness and sorrow. Therefore, put up with whatever comes to you. Allah, God, is the sole dispenser and protector. Think of Him always. He will take care of you. Surrender to Him with body, mind, and speech, and then see what He does." Dr. Pillai said that Nana Sahib had put a bandage over the leg, but he had no relief. "Nana is a fool," replied Baba. Take off that bandage, or else you will die. Now a crow will come and peck at you, and then you will recover." While this conversation was going on, Abdul, who always cleaned the masjid and trimmed the lamps, turned up. While he was attending to his work, his foot accidentally fell upon the stretched leg of Dr. Pillai. The leg was already swollen, and when Abdul's foot fell upon it and pressed it, all the 7 guinea worms were squeezed out at once. The pain was unbearable, and Dr. Pillai cried out loudly. After some time, he calmed down and began to sing and cry alternatively. Then Pillai inquired about the crow when the crow was coming and pecking. Baba said, "Did you not see the crow? He won't come again. Abdul was the crow. Now go and rest in the vada, and you will be soon all right." By application of the udi and by taking it orally with water, without taking any other treatment or medicine, the disease was completely cured in 10 days, as assured by Baba. Shama's sister-in-law. Shama's younger brother, Babaji, was staying near the Savli Vihar. Once his wife was attacked with bubonic plague. She had high fever and two buboes in her groins. Babaji rushed to Shama at Shirdi and asked him to come and help. Shama was frightened, but according to his wont custom, he went to Baba, prostrated himself before him to invoke his aid by requesting him to cure the case. He also asked his permission to go to his brother's house. Then Baba said, "Don't go there at this late hour. Send her the udi. Why care for the fever and buboes? God is our father. She'll be all right easily. Do not go now. Go there in the morning and return immediately." Shama had full faith in Baba's udi. It was sent with Babaji. It was applied on the buboes, and some of it was mixed with water given to the patient for drinking. No sooner was it taken in, perspiration set in profusely, the fever abated, and the patient had a sound sleep. Next morning, Babaji was surprised to see his wife all right, with no fever and no buboes. When Shama went there next morning, with Baba's permission, he was also surprised to see her in the kitchen preparing tea. On questioning his brother, he learned that Baba's udi cured her completely in one night. Then Shama realized the significance of Baba's words. Go there in the morning and return immediately. After taking tea, Shama returned and after saluting Baba, said, "Deva, what is this play of yours? You first raise a storm and make us restless, and then calm it down and comfort us." Baba replied, "You see, mysterious is the path of action. Though I do nothing, they hold me responsible for the actions which take place on account of prarabdha, destiny. I am only their witness. The Lord is the sole doer and inspirer. He is the most merciful. Neither am I am God nor master. I am his obedient servant and remember him constantly. He who casts aside his egoism and thanks him, and he who trusts him entirely, will have his shackles removed and will obtain liberation." Irani's daughter. Now read the experience of an Irani gentleman. His young daughter got fits every hour. When the convulsion came, she lost her power of speech, her limbs contracted, and she fell down senseless. No remedy gave her any relief. Some friend recommended Baba's udi to her father and asked him to get it from Kaka Sahib Dikshit at Vili Parle, suburb of Mumbai. Then the Irani gentleman got the udi and gave it, mixed with water, to his daughter daily for drinking. In the beginning, the convulsions, which were coming hourly, came every 7 hours, and after a few days, the daughter recovered completely. Harda gentleman. An old gentleman of Harda was suffering from a stone in his kidney. Such stones are generally removed by surgical operations, and people recommended him to undergo one. He was old and weak, lacked strength of mind, and could not think of submitting himself to surgical treatment. His suffering was soon to end in another way. The Inamdar, city officer of that town, happened to come there at that time. He was a devotee of Baba and had always a stock of udi with him. On the recommendation of friends, his son got some udi from him and after mixing it with water, gave it to his old father to drink. Within 5 minutes, the udi was assimilated, the stone was dissolved and came out through his urine, and old man was soon relieved. Mumbai lady, a woman of the Kayashta Prabhu caste in Mumbai, always suffered terrible pain at her delivery. She was very much frightened each time she became pregnant and did not know what to do. Sri Rama Maruti of Kalyan, who was a devotee of Baba, advised her husband to take her to Shiti. When she next became pregnant, both husband and wife came to Shiti, stayed there for some months, and worshipped Baba. After some time, the hour of delivery came, and as usual, there was obstruction in the passage from the womb. She began to suffer labor pains, did not know what to do, but began to pray to Baba for relief. In the meantime, some neighboring women turned up and, after invoking Baba's aid, gave her Udi mixture to drink. In 5 minutes, the woman delivered safely and painlessly. The issue was still born according to its fate, but the mother, who got rid of the anxiety and pain, thanked Baba for the safe delivery and even remained grateful to him. Bow to Sri Sai, peace be to all.
Thank you, Sister Gita. We'll now have Srividya continue.
Sarah, Chapter 35. Tested preliminary. In spiritual matters or endeavors, sectarianism is the greatest bar to our progress. To those who believe that God is without form are heard saying that to believe that God is with form is an illusion, and that the saints are only human beings. Then why should they bow down their heads before them and offer dakshina? Persons belonging to other sects will also raise objection and say, why should they bow and offer allegiance to other saints, leaving their gurus? Similar objections regarding Sai Baba were heard before and even now. Some objections regarding some said that when they went to Shirdi, Baba asked for dakshina from them. Is it good that saints should collect money in this fashion? If they do so, where is their sainthood? But there are many instances where men went to Shirdi to scoff, but remained there to pray. Two such instances are given below. A friend of Kaka Mahajani was a worshipper of God without form and was averse to idolatry. Out of curiosity, he agreed to go to Shirdi with Kaka Mahajani on two conditions. One, that he would neither bow to Baba nor pray to him any dakshina. Kaka agreed to these conditions, and they both left Bombay on a Saturday night and reached Shirdi the next morning. As soon as they put their feet on the steps of the masjid, Baba looked at the friend from a distance, addressed him in his sweet words, "Oh, welcome, sir." The tone that uttered these words was a very peculiar one. It exactly resembled the tone of the friend's father. It reminded him of his departed father and sent a thrill of joy through his body. What an enchanting power the tone had. Being surprised, the friend said, "There is no doubt the voice of my father." Then he, at once up and forgetting his resolution, placed his head upon Baba's feet. Then Baba asked for dakshina twice, once in the morning, once again at noon, at the time of their taking leave. But he asked it from Kaka only and not from the friend. The latter whispered to Kaka, "Baba asked for dakshina from you twice. I am with you. Why does he omit me?" "You ask Baba himself," was Kaka's reply. Baba asked Kaka what his friend was whispering. Then the friend asked Baba himself whether he should pay any dakshina. Baba replied, "You have no mind to pay. so you were not asked to pay. But if you want to pay now, you may. Then the friend paid 17 rupees as dakshina, the same amount Kaka paid. Baba then addressed him a few words of advice. You do away, destroy the Telly's wall, sense of difference between us, so that we can see and meet each other face to face. Then Baba allowed them to depart. Thought the weather was cloudy and threatening. Baba assured them of their safe journey, and both of them reached Bombay safely. When he reached home and opened the door and windows of his house, he found 2 sparrows fallen dead on the ground, and one just flying out through a window. He thought that if he had left the windows open, 2 sparrows would have been saved, but thought again that they had met their lot and that Baba had sent them back soon just to save the third sparrow. Kaka Mahajani's master. Kaka was the manager in the firm of Thakur Dharmase Jetabai, a solicitor in Mumbai. Both the master and the manager were on intimate terms. Mr. Thakur to go to Shirdi with Kaka. During Shimga holidays, he took another man with him for his company. The 3 started together, and Kaka bought 2 seers of raisins, dried grapes with seeds, on the way for presentation to Baba. They reached Shirdi in due time and went to the masjid for darshan. Baba Sahib Thakur was also there, and Mr. Thakur asked him why he came here. For darshan, Thakur replied. Mr. Thakur asked if miracles took place there. Thakur replied that to see miracles, was not the concern. The earnest intentions of the bhaktas were satisfied here. Then Kaka prostrated himself before Baba and offered the raisins to him. Baba ordered them to be distributed. Mr. Thakur also got a few of them. He did not want to have the raisins, as he was advised by his doctor not to eat them without washing and cleaning them. So he was in a fix. He did not want to eat them, nor could he reject them. To keep up formalities, he put them into his mouth, but did not know what to do with the seeds. He could not spit them out on the floor of the masjid, so he pocketed them against his wish. He then said in his mind that if Baba was a saint, how could he be ignorant of his dislike for raisins? And how could he force them on him? When this thought arose in his mind, Baba again gave him some more raisins. He could not eat them, but held them in his hand. Then Baba asked him to eat them up. He obeyed and found, to his surprise, that they were all seedless. He wanted to see miracles, and here was one. He knew that Baba read his thought and, as per wish, converted the raisins with seeds into seedless grapes. What a wonderful power! Again, to test further, he asked Thakur, who was sitting by and who was also getting some raisins, "What kind of grapes you got?" He replied, "The variety with seeds." Mr. Thakur was still more surprised to hear this. Then, to confirm his faith further, Thakur thought in his mind that if Baba was a real saint, the raisins should be now given to Kaka first. Reading his thought also, Baba ordered that distribution should be commenced from Kaka. These proofs were sufficient for Thakur. Then Shama introduced Mr. Thakur as the master of Kaka, upon which Baba said, "How could he be his master? He has got a different master altogether." Kaka appreciated this reply. After forgetting his resolve, Thakur saluted Baba and returned to the Wada. After the noon aarti was over, they all went to the masjid for taking Baba's leave for their departure. Shama spoke for them. Baba then spoke as follows. There was a fickle-minded gentleman. He had health and wealth and was free from both physical and mental afflictions. But he took on needless anxieties and burdens and wandered hither and thither, thus losing his peace of mind. Sometimes he dropped the burdens and at other times carried them again. His mind knew no steadiness. On seeing this state, I took pity on him and said, "Now keep your faith on one place you like. Why roam like this?" Thakur at once understood that this was an exact description of himself. He wished that Kaka should also return with him, but no one expected that Kaka would be allowed to leave Shirdi so soon. Baba read this thought also and permitted Kaka to return with his master. Then Baba asked Kaka for 15 rupees as dakshina and received it. He said, "If I take 1 rupee as dakshina from anybody, I have to return tenfold to him. I never take anything for gratis. I never ask anyone indiscriminately. I only ask and take from him whom the fakir, my guru, points out. If anyone is indebted formally to the fakir, dakshina is received from him. The donor gives, i.e., sows his seeds only to reap a rich harvest in the future. Wealth should be the means to work out dharma. If it is used for personal enjoyment, it is wasted. Unless you have given it before, you do not get it now. So the best way to receive is to give. The giving of dakshina advances vairagya, non-attachment, and thereby bhakti and dhyan. Give one and receive tenfold. On hearing these words, Mr. Thakur himself gave 15 rupees in Baba's hand, forgetting his earlier resolve not to do so. He thought it was good that he came to Shirdi, as all his doubts were solved and he learned so much. Baba's skill in handling such cases was unique. Though he conducted all, he was totally non-attached to them. Whether anybody saluted him or not, or whether anybody gave him dakshina or not, all was same to him. He felt no pleasure if he was worshipped, and felt no pain if he was disregarded. He had transcended the pairs of opposites, pleasure and pain, and etc. The insomnia case. As Kaishta Prabhu, gentleman of Bandra, suffered from insomnia for long. As soon as he lay down for sleep, his departed father would appear to him in his dream, abused and scolded him severely. This disturbed his sleep and made him restless the whole night. Every night this went on, and the man did not know what to do. One day he consulted a devotee of Baba in this respect. He recommended the udi as the only infallible remedy he knew. He gave him some udi and asked him to apply a little on his forehead before going to bed and keep the udi in a packet under his pillow. He tried this remedy and found to his great surprise and joy that he had a sound sleep and there were no disturbance of any kind. He continued the remedy and always remembered Sai. Then he got a picture of Sai Baba, which hung on his wall near his pillow, and started worshipping it daily. On Thursdays, uh, uh, daily, and on Thursdays, offered garland, naivedya, and etc. Then he got well and forgot his trouble altogether. Balaji Patel Nevaskar. The man was a great devotee of Baba. He rendered excellent and selfless service. Every day he swept and kept clean all the passages and streets of Shirdi, through which Baba passed in his daily routine. After him, this work was done equally by another devotee, Radha Krishnamai, and after her by Abdullah. When Balaji reaped his corn every year, he brought the whole quantity and presented it to Baba. He returned with what Baba gave him back and maintained himself and his family with it. This course was followed by him for many years, and after him by his son also. Power and deficiency of Udi. Once it happened that Balaji's death anniversary, a certain number of guests were invited, and that dinner was prepared for them. But at dinner time, it was found that thrice the number of people invited turned up. Mr. Nawaskar was in a fix. She thought that the food would not suffice for the people assembled, and it fell short. The honor of the family would be at stake. Her mother-in-law comforted her by saying, "Don't be afraid. It is not ours but Sai's food. Cover every vessel with cloth, putting some udi in it, and serve from the same vessel without opening it. Sai will save us from ignominy." She did as she was advised, and it was found to their surprise and joy that not only did the food suffice all, but plenty of it remained after serving. As one feels intently, so he realizes accordingly, was proved in this case. Sai appearing as a serpent. Once, Raghu Patel of Shirdi went to Balaji Patel at Newcastle. The evening he found that the serpent entered the cowshed hissing. All the cattle were afraid and became restless. The inmates of the house were frightened. But Balaji thought that it was Sai who appeared in his house as a serpent. Without being afraid in the least, he brought a cup of milk and placed it before the serpent, saying, "Baba, why do you hiss like this? Do you want to frighten us? Take this cup of milk, drink it with a calm mind." Saying this, he sat down close by. The other members were frightened and did not know what to do. In a short time, the serpent disappeared of its own, and nobody knew where it went. It was not found, though a thorough search was made in the cowshed. Balaji had 2 wives and some children. They sometimes went to Shirdi from Newcastle for taking Baba's darshan. Then Baba brought saris and other clothes, which were given to them with his blessings. Bhakta Sri Sai, peace to be all. Chapter 36. 2 gentlemen. Once, 2 gentlemen came from Goa, taking darshan of Sai Baba, and prostrated themselves before him. Though both came together, Baba asked only one of them to give him 15 rupees as dakshina, which was paid willingly. The other man voluntarily offered 35, which was rejected by Baba, to the astonishment of all. Shama, who was present, asked Baba, "What is this?" Baba came together. "One's dakshina you accept, and the other, though voluntarily paid, you refuse. Why is this discrimination? Baba replied, Shama, you know nothing. I take nothing from anybody. The masjid may, the presiding deity of the masjid, calls for the debt. The donor pays it and becomes free. Have I any home, property, or family to look after? I require nothing. I'm ever free. Debt, enmity, and murder have to be atoned for, as there is no escape from them. Baba then continued in his characteristic way as follows. As at first he was poor and took a vow to his God that he would pay his first month's salary if he got a job. He got one for 15 rupees. Then he steadily got promotions. From 15 rupees, he got 30, 60, 100, 200, and ultimately 700 rupees. But in his prosperity, he forgot completely the vow he took. The force of his karma was driven him here, and I asked the amount, 15 rupees, from him as dakshina. Another story. While wandering by the seaside, I came to a huge mansion and sat in its veranda. The Brahmin owner gave me a good reception and fed me sumptuously. He showed me a neat and clean place near a cupboard for sleeping. I slept there. While I was sound asleep, the man removed a laterite slab and broke the wall, crept in, and scissored off all the money from my pocket. When I woke up, I found that 30,000 rupees were stolen. I was greatly distressed and sat weeping and moaning. The money was in currency notes, and I thought that the Brahmin had stolen it. I lost all interest in food and drink and sat there for a fortnight in the veranda, bemoaning my loss. After the fortnight was over, a passing fakir saw me crying and made inquiries regarding the cause of my sorrow. I told him everything. He said, if you act according to my bidding, you will recover your money. Go to a fakir. I shall give his whereabouts. Surrender yourself to him. He will get you your money back. In the meanwhile, give up your favorite food till you recover the money. I followed the fakir's advice and got my money. Then I went to the seashore where a steamer was standing, but I could not get into it, as it was overcrowded. There was a good-natured peon. It interceded for me, and I got in luckily. That brought me to another shore, from where I caught a train and came to the Masjid Mai. The story finished, and Baba asked Shama to take the guests and arrange for their feeding. Then Shama took them home and fed them. At dinner, Shama said the guests that Baba's story was rather mysterious, as he had never gone to the seaside, never had any money, 30,000 rupees, never traveled, never lost any money, and never recovered it, and inquired from them whether they understood it and caught its significance. The guests were deeply moved and were shedding tears. In a choked voice, they said that Baba was omniscient, infinite, the supreme one, Parabrahma, without a second. The story he gave out is exactly our story. What he spoke has already taken place in our case. How he knew this is a wonder of wonders. We shall give all our details after the meals. Then after the meals, while they were chewing betel leaves, the guests began to tell their stories. One of them said, a hill station on the Ghats is my native place. I went to Goa to earn my living by securing a job. I took a vow to God that if I got a job, I would offer him my first month's salary. By his grace, I got a job of 15 rupees, and then I got promotions. As described by Baba, I did forget all about my vow. Baba has just reminded me of it in this way and recovered 15 rupees from me. It is not dakshina as one may think it to be, but a repayment from an old debt and fulfillment of a long forgotten vow. Moral. In fact, Baba never begged for any money, nor allowed his bhaktas to beg. He regarded money as a danger or bar to spiritual progress and did not allow bhaktas to fall into its clutches. Bhagat Malsapati in an instance on this point. He was very poor and could hardly make both ends meet. Baba never allowed him to make any money, nor gave him anything from the Dakshina collection. Once, a kind and liberal merchant named Hansraj gave a large amount of money to Mahaspati in Baba's presence, but Baba did not permit him to accept it. Then the second guest began to tell his tale. My Brahmin, cook, was serving me faithfully for 35 years. Unfortunately, he fell into bad ways. His mind changed and he robbed me of my treasure. By removing a laterite slab from my wall where my cupboard is fixed, he came in while we were all deep asleep and carried away all my accumulated wealth, 30,000 rupees, in currency notes. I know not how Baba mentioned the exact amount. I sat crying day and night. My inquiries came to nothing. I spent a fortnight in great anxiety. As I sat on the veranda, sad and dejected, a passing fakir saw my condition and inquired of its cause, and I told him all about it. He told me that Avalia, a saint by the name Sai, lives in Shirdi, Kopargaon Taluka. Make a vow to him and give up any food that you like best, and say to him mentally that I have given up eating that food till I take your darshan. Then I took the vow and gave up eating rice and said, Baba, I will eat it after recovering my property and after taking your darshan. 15 days passed after this. The Brahmin of his own accord came to me, returned my money, and apologized, saying, I went mad and acted thus. I now place my head on your feet. Please forgive me. Thus everything ended well. The fakir that met me and helped me was not seen again. An intense desire to see Sai Baba, from whom the fakir pointed out to me, arose in my mind. I thought that the fakir who came all the way to my house was no other than Sai Baba. Would he, who saw me and helped me to get my lost money, ever covet 35 rupees? On the contrary, without expecting anything from us, he always leads us on the path of spiritual progress. I was overjoyed when I recovered my stolen property, and being ignorant, I forgot all about my vow. Then, when I was at Kolaba one night, I saw Sai Baba in my dream. This reminded me of my promised visit to Shirdi. I went to Goa and from there wanted to start for Shirdi by taking a steamer to Mumbai en route. But when I came to the harbor, I found that the steamer was crowded and that there was no place. The cabin did not allow me on the intercession of a Pia, who was a stranger to me. I was allowed to get into the steamer which brought me to Mumbai. From there, I came by train. Surely, I think that Baba is all pervading and all knowing. What are we and where is our home? How fortunate we are. Baba got our money and drew us here to himself. Shirdi folks must be infinitely superior and more fortunate than we, for Baba has played, laughed, talked, and lived with you for so many years. I think that your store of good merits must be infinite. Sai, our Datta, Lord Dattatreya, he gave me a seat in the steamer and brought me here, and thus gave proof of his omniscience and omnipotence.
Madam Chair, thank you. We will end with our closing prayers. साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु। समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु। समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु। Usha Saya.